Okay, today I want to do something a bit different. This one isn't going to be industry news or a standard game video. This is going to be an explanation of why criticism is necessary and why I make it a deliberate point to evaluate games and topics from a critical angle the vast majority of the time. An easy thing to do is brush that aside and claim, well, he is just negative, but the truth is that this decision is very calculated and well thought out. The motivation is actually pretty simple. The crux of the issue is value. However it happened, for better or for worse, I now have a YouTube platform that reaches millions of people every month in the gaming space. Some will say that it is deserved or undeserved, but the bottom line is that it's very real. And the individual videos I post reach at minimum tens of thousands of gamers. This could all change in a heartbeat. The internet is an unpredictable world, but as it stands, the conduit exists, so that is how I operate, as if that conduit is fully functional. The criticism of too much negativity gets thrown around a lot nowadays, and at plenty of people, not just me, by the way. People whine and complain that I am too negative and never say anything positive. Never mind that such a statement is factually incorrect and laughably so. Even if it were to be true, that would actually be better than the alternative. There are effectively two ways to approach coverage, and of those two ways, I choose very pointedly, on as many occasions as possible, to gravitate towards critical analysis, rather than positive praise. All that being true, I think it's high time I explain exactly why that is, because there is clearly a disconnect between why I do this and why certain audience members think that I do this. The two choices are very simple, underlined by pretty generic feedback, which I will use as an example. The first mindset is always finding something to praise or be positive about, and the accompanying viewer mindset is along the lines of, if you don't like it, don't play it. If you don't enjoy it, don't talk about it. And lastly, if you don't have anything positive to say, don't say anything at all. A phrase I view to be an abhorrent, offensive, and extremely pathetic statement of weakness. The second mindset is focusing on criticism. The phrase is accompanied by rhetoric that condemns excitement, attempts to tear down hype, and generally speaking, this mindset leads to more confrontational feedback. It's not a guarantee, but when two voices are heard, one saying, "that's amazing," and another saying, "that's terrible," the voice that says, "that's terrible," even when referring to something entirely inanimate, will be heard as a personal attack by many of those who actually love or enjoy the thing being criticized. This is an age-old phenomenon, and a great example would be sports, I guess. The inverse is certainly true. A fan says, "I love this team," and other fans then criticize that decision or feeling. It happens, to be sure, but the much more prominent atmosphere is the opposite. Someone says, "I dislike this team," and the fans who hold that team near and dear to their heart are whipped into a frenzy. The problem is, they internalize that criticism as if it were criticism of them personally. Whether right or wrong, the idea takes hold that because someone else dislikes something that you in fact enjoy for yourself, they must be de facto criticizing you by extension. This is categorically wrong in every conceivable way, but it does not stop the atmosphere from being a widespread norm. The difference of experience, preference, opinion, and motivation coalesce to create two different perspectives which are at odds with one another. And somehow, some way, those perspectives are perceived by some to be mutually exclusive. That is to say, for the negative to exist, the positive must be wrong, and for the positive to be correct, the negative must be wrong. I myself habitually and intentionally focus on criticism for one very important reason. That reason is customer value. Having the platform that I do, there is an actual tangible and measurable effect on certain gamers' lives. When I say "this is amazing" or "I recommend that game," a notable number of players will quite literally purchase the product based on that recommendation. When a viewer watches a video and purchases a game as a result of my praise for the title, the responsibility of their enjoyment rests on me. To be clear, this is not abstract or disconnected. The responsibility is directly on me because my words were the catalyst, resulting in their decision to spend money. This means that when I recommend a game, I need to possess absolute clarity of confidence that it is the right thing to do. And not only that, but I must also be certain I provided them with enough information to ensure they are properly equipped for that decision. By focusing on the positive, I would be creating a skewed image of the title for anyone who watched the video. And by focusing on criticism or negativity, I create an equally skewed image the opposite way. But one is a very good thing, and the other is horribly irresponsible. By recommending a game, I increase the likelihood that someone will buy it. By deliberately ignoring flaws to be positive and spread good vibes, I increase that likelihood even further. And if the viewer accepts my coverage, buying the game as a result, that is money they cannot get back. If they enjoy it and the money was not wasted, then all is well in the world. But if they don't enjoy it, because I focused so hard on making everyone feel good about themselves and failed to highlight immediate or potential issues for a wide range of players, I have just wasted their time and their money. Inversely, if I criticize a game, there are a multitude of outcomes, all of which are better than if I praised it. On the one hand, if they decide to pass on a title, even if they would have enjoyed it but were pushed away by my own critique, it signifies a lack of certainty, and at absolute worst, they can now spend that $60, sometimes even more, on something else. Other forms of entertainment, their favorite food, whatever it is. The options are infinite. Another possibility is that they disagree with my coverage, watch further material, find some reviewers or creators recommending it, and then buy the game anyway. That is a significantly better option because at the very least, they went into the buying phase with more information, thus cutting down on the chances that their money has been wasted. The sad truth is that not a lot of games nowadays deserve their price tag. All too many titles, especially from a AAA perspective, sadly enough, are value sinkholes that are not worth a player's time, effort, or money. Maybe they get better after a few patches or a few updates, but yet again, criticism of an initial product that better informs a viewer as to the possible downside to that purchase, even in a skewed way, would result in greater value down the line. Now, to overcome this entirely one-sided mindset, I actually created an entire video series called the Indie Spotlights. The Indie Spotlights are built for one very specific purpose: find things to be positive about and praise them. The goal is to locate video games that have a cheaper price tag and exceptional creative vision so that the channel can be, to quote Thanos here, balanced as all things should be. I've done about 6 or so, and I have a bunch more lined up. It's just a matter of finding the time to do it, and they are fairly complicated and take a decent amount of time because I have to be thorough with the game, etc. But the point is, there are a lot of them, and there's more coming, and it's all to balance out the coverage. Only criticizing games, really, truly only doing that, was not possible for me. To flat out refuse coverage of things that are enjoyable is wrong, because not acknowledging them would quite possibly deprive a viewer of significant enjoyment. But focusing on criticism is without question superior to focusing on praise, because one increases the likelihood that a viewer will gather further information before buying, and the other increases the chances they will step into something without true certainty. Criticism is absolutely necessary because without it, there is stagnation. Deliberately refusing to be critical leads to a total lack of innovation or improvement. If a pillow is hard and lumpy, pretending it is soft and smooth because you want to be perceived by those around you as positive will mean that the pillow design never changes. The phrase, "if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all," is mentally deficient because the true impact is lack of improvement. When a baseball player has a bad swing, only saying nice things about it will never, ever improve his performance. If human civilization truly adhered to the principle of only saying or doing positive things, society would not advance. Criticism pushes innovation and spurs improvement. The thing about criticism, though, is that people won't always agree. In reality, that is a very good thing, but diverging from apparent consensus can sometimes make people upset. I don't actually know why that is. I could speculate about social comforts, mob mentality, groupthink, and whatever else, but honestly, I really don't know. However, the immutable truth is that no reviewer is an amalgamation of public opinion or consensus 100% of the time. Any reviewer, commentator, critic, or public speaker for that matter, who always conforms to the majority reinforced public opinion is inauthentic and fake. Seeking out opinion-based reviews, criticism, or analysis inherently means looking for differing opinions. If consensus on video game releases were to always blindly be true, the creator ecosystem on YouTube would be useless. If every game that came out was discussed in similar ways, with ratings and opinions across the board being consistent, it would defeat the entire purpose of gaming coverage. When a game comes out that is praised and saluted as exceptional, the reality is a lot of players will not agree with that. As the social fabric warps around the title, it becomes harder and harder to criticize because people get increasingly upset at any differing opinion, perceiving it as an attack on them personally because they enjoy that game, so everyone else must as well. The end point for that mentality is stagnation and critical bankruptcy. As a result, I deliberately focus on criticism and view it to be absolutely necessary because the alternative would cause chronic loss of customer time and money directly as a result of my own actions, and I have a responsibility to not let that happen. Focusing on criticism far more than praise helps to ensure that purchases are only made by customers who are truly sure of their own desire. If they are unsure, that $60, sometimes more, could do many other things. I will only focus exclusively on positive elements when I am fully and beyond any possible doubt comfortable endorsing a game, knowing full well that if a viewer buys it because of my words and dislikes it, that is my fault. I have wasted their time and their money, and that is unacceptable. I have no intention of ever changing this mindset. Pushing products as if they were amazing each and every day is a waste of customer time and money. It is dishonest, it is misleading, and it is irresponsible to do that when so many players have limited budgets with which to purchase games that best suit their interests. And if they make a mistake, it can actually harm them in a tangible way for a long period of time. I will always focus on criticism because at worst, they spend that money on something else they enjoy, and at best, they do further research and enter into that same purchase that I criticized with a deeper understanding of what exactly they are getting themselves into. Either way, criticism is beneficial. That is my mindset on this channel, and it will not change. That's it for today. I don't know how this one will go, honestly. A lot of people are going to come over from the Doom review and be pissed off here as well, but highlighting exactly why I focus on critical aspects of game coverage felt like a good clarification to make. If you want to support, there are links down below, merch, Patreon, social media, as well as a link to another YouTuber named AxialGT who supplied my PC hardware, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.